Around now and to say live from Jerusalem. It's Wednesday night.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's Nicole Johnson.
And I'm Nicole Johnson reporting from Jerusalem. And as usual, we have like a list of new news that's all happening right now. And we are going to get into all of it. But as I am watching the news, and I don't know if you guys know of Rush Limbaugh, if you remember him, if you listen to him, but he used to always play a montage of different media outlets saying the same thing. Like as if they got their script or their article, their talking points from one person and everybody said the same thing. And he did this with the American media. Well, tonight I saw that in full effect with the Israeli media because every single newscaster and the anchors said the same thing on different channels. Israel is at the highest state of readiness. Israel is at record preparation for war. And I was just like, I'm like, because more so than last night, because you said the same thing last night, more or less, and nothing has happened except that they have better prepared themselves than they were yesterday. They're more prepared today for war than they were yesterday, which actually, if you're a citizen, is slightly disturbing, right? Because you want them to always be at the same readiness level. But no, today was record preparation. And honestly, it's just all part of that's the guy I want to interview. He's very interesting. Um, this is just how you keep people coming back to the news, and it's why the news is like, that's, if it bleeds it leads. And so everybody's always looking for a crisis and looking for the, something to sell to the public, like keep them hanging, keep them wanting more, things like that. So that is precisely what is happening here in the media. War sells. Non-war is not. It's a lot of work to keep up. I mean, war writes itself. It covers itself. Like there's nonstop flow of news. In fact, you don't even get to all the details. But when you're in a state where the Middle East is in right now, which is, kind of a ceasefire, even though there's attacks in random places around the region, but mostly ceasefire. And so the reporters have to go back to their day to day of, generating stories and stuff like that. So anyway, so that's what I feel is a little bit behind the scenes because, also talking to people, it is really the big joke of, if and when, oh, let's make plans for next week. Oh, unless, and on it goes. Now, there was something else that was really funny because even though I was just trashing the news, I have to say that they also are like the Israeli news when it comes to President Trump. They are now just straight up saying, well, that's what he says. But as we've learned in the past, we don't really know what he's going to do. So there's this fundamental, I don't want to say a lack of trust. Like they understand that the words are possibly just part of a strategy, or that's, or to throw, or a bluff or something to throw people off. But they are literally like just laughing about it, like they're in the newsroom, like they say, but we're not going to believe that one because we don't know what to believe. Well, let's just talk about a few of the things just even in the last couple of days or today. Let's start with the most recent. The most recent Trump statement was, I'm in no hurry. I'm working on a deal. I'm in no hurry to start the war again. Okay. But 2 days ago, he said, I was ready to attack. I was ready to say go. But then Qatar and Saudi Arabia, they asked me to back off. And I said, okay, guys, no problem. Uh, so even, the words coming out of his mouth and the messages, I think we all know at this point that only he knows what he's going to do, what he plans to do, and we are just all going to find out. Now, he also said he had a conversation. This was another cause for alarm and record readiness here, in the media at least, about what will be happening. He had a call last night. Trump had a call with Prime Minister Netanyahu in Israel. So the two of them spoke. It was apparently a brief call. And then the speculation, of course, soars. Why are they talking? Are they planning? And today Trump was asked about it, and he said, "Oh, Netanyahu, he's a great guy. He'll do whatever I want him to do." Like, he literally said, he'll do whatever I want him to do. So, of course, the Israeli media is going crazy with that, too. So, as far as what is happening in Iran, representatives from Pakistan were in Tehran to continue they're mediating the ceasefire, mediating the negotiations. So they said they were there today, and they wanted to, they said, "Oh, positive, very positive." And then the foreign minister of Iran is apparently going to the US tomorrow to speak to a commission or, appear. So I'm like, okay. So there's a lot of back and forth with the leaders of Iran. Now, Iran is also very much, they have all of their statements coming out. Like, one of them, let me find the exact statement. Who was it? The IRGC, in an updated threat against Israel and the U.S. against the backdrop of growing assessments that we are on the verge of a new round of fighting, said the American Zionist enemy has not learned the lesson from the great strategic defeats it has suffered again and again at the hands of the Islamic Revolution, and once again threatens us. We have not yet used all of our capabilities. If the aggression against Iran repeats itself, this time the regional war will go beyond the borders of the region and will deliver crushing blows in unexpected places until the enemy is cast into the abyss of defeat and destruction. They are men of the pen. But he says, wait, this is continuing the quote, "We are men of war." But I would like to add the pen because that was poetic. "And you will not see you will see our strength on the battlefield, not in empty statements and virtual web pages." And this is exactly what many statements now are coming out saying by Iranian officials, saying that Trump is just all talk. And it's because he's scared. He doesn't want to face the regime. So he's just putting up a lot of bravado in his posts, but he's not actually going to attack. So anyway, this is what they are saying. Okay, so now I want to get to the crux of the matter, why I have the headline here. Israel is in hot water. Why is Israel in hot water? Well, today, the latest flotilla that was trying to sail from Turkey to Gaza to bring humanitarian aid, break the siege, whatever, there was not really humanitarian aid on the boat. The boats are too small. And in any case, obviously, it's just a publicity stunt for the most part, to protesting on behalf of the Palestinians and Gaza. And so the latest flotilla, Israel again commandeered the ship, and instead of like last time, they had them in Greece. I think they only had arrested 2 people, but this time they brought the boat all the way to the port here in Israel, and then they had arrested them all. And what happened was the national security minister was very proud of this accomplishment and decided, I'm going to make a video and then I'm going to post it on my Twitter account. And here's how that went. I'm going to show you the video of this. So this is not this is him posting this himself for himself on his account. Itamar Ben-Gvir. I'm going to replay it.
Free Palestine!
Check it.
טובה. עבודה טובה.
That's him.
ברוכים הבאים לישראל, אנחנו בעלי הבית.
He said, "Welcome to Israel. We're the landlords, owners, rulers." Now, they're playing
עם ישראל חי.
national anthem.
ישראל חי. עם ישראל חי. כן.
זיכוי, כל המטרה כאן זה לראות שאין אנשים בתהליך. אחרי
לא להתרגש מהצעקות שלהם, לא להתרגש.
Free, free Palestine!
שקט, שקט, שקט. טובה. עבודה טובה. ברוכים הבאים לישראל, אנחנו בעלי הבית. ככה צריך.
Okay, I just want to pause it because I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm going to go through and translate some of this. Okay, so I'm going to let it go. I'm gonna have it run, and then I'm going to hit pause and give a little bit of context and translation.
Free, free Palestine!
שקט, שקט.
Okay, so somebody in the background is yelling, "Shut up, shut up." I can't say it's Ben-Gvir, but it sounds like him, but not sure. And anyway, so she's yelling "Free Palestine" in defiance to the police officers. Somebody's telling her "shut up," and then the police officers are basically shoving her to the ground.
שקט. טובה.
That is the National Defense Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who was shunned from the government a couple years ago. He was considered an extremist. He is a follower of Kahana, who was charged with terrorism, for terrorism against Arabs, against Palestinians, and he's got criminal charges, and it's always in anti-Arab matters where he has been criminally involved. So anyway, for him to go from being shunned from the government, like Netanyahu even saying I would never have him in my government, he is now the national security minister. And watch how this is backfiring on Israel now.
עבודה טובה. ברוכים הבאים לישראל, אנחנו בעלי הבית.
Okay, so he says, "Welcome to Israel," as he's waving the flag, and he says, "We are the landlords." I can't think of a better translation. Like we are the landlords here.
ככה צריך.
He says, like he commenting on the way the person is being restrained. He said, "That's exactly what you need to do. This is what you need." Now they're all being. I don't know why they are bent over like this. At first I thought, what are they, like Muslims? Are they kneeling on a carpet, for a call to prayer? But I don't think so. I don't know why they're bent over, if it's voluntary or they're forced to, but the music that you hear in the background is the Israeli national anthem.
ישראל חי.
So now he's arguing with one of the protesters. I cannot hear what the protesters are saying, and Ben-Gvir's English is not great. And he's just repeating in Hebrew, Am Israel Chai, the people of Israel live.
כן.
זיכוי, כל המטרה כאן זה לראות שאין אנשים בתהליך. אחרי
לא להתרגש מהצעקות שלהם, לא להתרגש.
Okay, and then he says right there at the end, and don't get frazzled or emotional by their yelling. Don't get upset, don't get frazzled. So this is like Israel in hot water right now. You have got a lineup of countries that are calling the ambassador of Israel to their country. You have condemnations. I'm going to show you just this headline alone. Canada, France, Italy, Belgium, Netherlands summon Israeli envoys to protest flotilla video. And look, these pictures are going viral. I want to also go back to I'm going to go back to his page because some of the comments are telling. Oh, did I already close it? Okay, hold on. I'm going to go to, he had a little tete-a-tete with Gideon Sar. Gideon Sar is the foreign minister now. He says, this is translated from Hebrew, you deliberately caused damage to the state in this disgraceful performance, and not for the first time. You squandered enormous professional and successful efforts made by many, many people, from IDF soldiers to Ministry of Foreign Affairs employees and many other fine individuals. No, you are not the face of Israel. And so what Ben-Gvir had written in his post, this is how we receive terror supporters in Israel. That's what's written in Hebrew. This is how we welcome terror supporters to Israel. And then he wrote, welcome to Israel. But here, I'm going to jump back to this because some of the comments are telling. Like, for instance, Chen Mazik, who is Israeli, he writes, every day I push back on the lie that Israelis are cruel, that we have no decent people, that we're the villains the anti-Israel crowd says we are. Then you open your mouth, Ben-Gvir, and prove them right. The flotilla are useful idiots. You are the gift they prayed for. You don't deserve to be in this government or any government. Actually, I wouldn't trust you to wash my car. So anyway, you could see that this has caused an uproar. I'm going to show you some others. Sorry, I stopped on that word right there. Okay, let's see. Start with Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, because she was the first comment that I saw that came out. Look, I didn't go exactly. Here you go. The images of the Israeli minister Ben-Gvir are unacceptable. It is inadmissible that these demonstrators, including many Italian citizens, are subjected to this treatment that violates human dignity. The Italian government is immediately taking, at the highest institutional levels, all the necessary steps to secure the immediate release of the Italian citizens involved. Italy further demands an apology for the treatment, good luck with that, reserved to these demonstrators, and for the total contempt shown toward the explicit request of the Italian government. For these reasons, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation will immediately summon the Israeli ambassador to request formal clarifications on what has occurred. Okay, so there's one. Now, if you think it's just the Europe crowd that doesn't, like Israel anyway, and they're all like, voting like against all these anti-Israel legislation right now that they're putting forth or whatever. Well, Mike Huckabee, the ambassador of the U.S. to Israel, the biggest Zionist of the entire administration and all of the diplomatic corps, look at this. Here's his post: universal outrage and condemnation from every high-ranking Israeli official, from Israeli Prime Minister, MFA, Gideon Sar, Israeli President, the U.S. ambassador, or the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Yechiel Leiter, and for despicable actions by Ben-Gvir. Flotilla was a stupid stunt, but Ben-Gvir betrayed the dignity of his nation. So that is quite telling, because you see, like, the post he had before that about the flotilla, he called the fraudtilla, and has less humanitarian aid than a Girl Scout first aid kit, which that's pretty funny. So you could see, like, he's against it, but that he's also condemning Ben-Gvir's actions, and the fact that he posted it. It's not like a video that accidentally went viral. No, he posted this himself. So anyway, that is that. Here's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemning, but also stating, Israel has every right to prevent provocative flotillas of Hamas terror supporters from entering our territorial waters and reaching Gaza. However, the way that Minister Ben-Gvir dealt with the flotilla activist, is not in line with Israel's values and norms. I have instructed the relevant authorities to deport the provocateurs as soon as possible. Okay, so this is not in line with Israel's values. And as you can see, that this is there. Wow, I just see that John and Carol are asking questions here about that. Was this caught? Did they take over the flotilla in international waters? Wow, you guys had a lot of comments, and I was like on another screen. Hello, Marilyn. Hello, Yael and John and Carol. Yes, so I actually I can't justify anything, and I don't know. Nobody is actually focusing on where they were caught and brought in, but as to what is happening now. Now, the last flotilla incident went off like very quietly because I believe it was like closer to Greece, or they anyway ended up somehow in Greece. Like they didn't arrest them; they only detained 2. So that was like quiet. That didn't make the news, but this made the news. And it's also right now, people are calling for Ben-Gvir to be fired, which, spoiler alert, probably won't happen. But that is the call now. And, we will see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, some people are saying that because of his support for the Koch party, which was like based on, it's a terror organization. It was a Jewish terror organization, that he was never fit to serve. He's not fit to sit in a cabinet, but people said he never was.
I think it was probably international waters.
Okay.
Off the coast of Cyprus.
Well, you can see that Netanyahu's statement alluded to the international waters, where he says Israel has the right to prevent from entering our territorial waters. So, but nobody at the moment is challenging that. They're just, they're challenging the show that Ben-Gvir put on, which, like other people have said in the comments, and that it was just him doing that just gave them what they wanted. Like, they are coming here to find you're not going to break the siege, and you're not really bringing humanitarian aid. And yes, you can protest, what's happening in Gaza if you disagree with it, and you find there are issues there that need to be dealt with. Yes, but this flotilla is just a publicity stunt, because it's not going to make it, and everybody knows that. So why give them what they want? I mean, if you're a leader in Israel, why give them what they want? You just now have a slew of ambassadors getting summonses to go to the foreign ministries of their respective countries to justify or explain Israel's behavior in this way, which it could have gone off without a hitch. So this is typical Ben-Gvir. And the thing is, as I'm seeing the polls right now, because we're going to talk about that right now, about the elections or non-elections or what's happening in Israel. Let me see. Likud, Be'achad Yashar, Democratic. Ben-Gvir has 9 seats in the latest polls, and I think he has about 9 seats right now. And his base is growing. He speaks to certain people here, political and religious persuasion, and his base is growing, which is why he goes from being shunned from government to actually being a minister, not just in the government, not just elected to the Knesset, but now having the power to basically make a deal. You want me in the coalition, you want my 9 seats, then I want the police. I want to be the head of the police. And that's exactly what has happened. And not just him, but also his former partner. They joined up. They're not the same party. They're heads of 2 different parties, but they joined up. And Smotrich's party. I don't know his party name. I can't remember. Is it Religious Zionism? It's I think it's called Religious Zionism.
יהדות התורה לא.
No, it is Religious Zionism, and they're not going to make it to the next government. But the two of them are now ministers. But the fact that they can get like a combined 15 seats or more means that they have a growing base. So it's not just we can shun you from you shouldn't even be in government. No, they actually represent persuasions here in the country. Okay, I see a question. Oh, by the way, so sorry that I have not been putting up your comments because I literally forget I can do that. And
your husband didn't remind you.
And my husband didn't remind. My husband is asleep on the job. He hasn't made me a new thumbnail. He's not promoting my channel. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything.
I'm doing my own thing.
Why are you doing your own work? I need promotion. Come on. I'm not going to promote.
I'm promoting my stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Come on, Tony. I need viewers. All right. Yael, do you believe that the war with Iran will start again? Well, okay. I'm going to give you two extremely different answers, and I believe both of them. I think there's no question it will begin again. And then I also think that it feels right now like it's not. Like it feels like it's not, despite we're at a record level of readiness, record preparations, highest alert ever. Despite all that, I think we really got like lulled into a ceasefire. So it doesn't feel like there's going to be a war, but I don't want to be a warmonger, and I don't want to say that there has to be war, there's going to be war, but there's so many unresolved issues that have not been agreed upon, that will not be agreed upon on a piece of paper to continue the ceasefire. So the only way that it doesn't go back to war is when both parties just happily back down, take some like Valium and like go relax or something. But also, of course, there's the Strait of Hormuz. Like, will Iran let go of that? Will they drop their demands for tolls? Then the other thing is, what are they going to do to the UAE if America leaves the region? Like, if Iran is left as is, if everybody stays here status quo, and Iran is, maintains the government and there's no overthrow, and they are probably going to go after some of the Gulf states. So that's why right now, and I'm not qualified to speak fully about this at the moment because I haven't done all of my research, but what I'm seeing is a little bit of friction between the UAE and Saudi Arabia and Qatar, which means that Saudi Arabia knows we're vulnerable, like, to Iran. If the U.S. just leaves everything as is, we're vulnerable. The UAE is the most vulnerable, and they have been threatened by name. Also, I think Bahrain. And so Qatar and Saudi are playing the other side of the aisle now, and very carefully and smoothly doing some kind of diplomatic dances to, I don't know, to get like to help Iran forget that they may have hosted American soldiers, like they have bases or they have agreements with America and stuff like that, because all of that stuff's going to get them in trouble. But the UAE is out there. Like, they are definitely out there. There's no turning around for them. They've been abandoned by the others, let's say. What do you guys think? I mean, I would like to hear if you think that the war will start up again. And while you're writing your comments, I'm going to actually check. There's a check. I'm going to just talk a little bit about the next topic, which is that today, this is so dramatic. Get ready for the drama. The Israeli Knesset voted 110-0 unanimously, only missing 10 members of the Knesset. 110-0. They voted to dissolve themselves, the Knesset, the government itself. And that sounds like, that's crazy. Like, why would you vote to melt yourself, to just picture like the Knesset dissolving, like, into little, drops of water that flow through the streets of Jerusalem. No, they did it. They happily did it. All of them together voted to dissolve themselves. And yet there is so little drama behind that statement, besides aside from the fact that it sounds like, wow, suddenly you've got the opposition and the government on the same side. Everybody agreed. And it also sounds like the government has collapsed today. However, let's bring it back to reality. First of all, it is only the first of 3 votes that it has to go through. The next vote will not be until next week, because now we're in a weekend recess, plus there's a holiday tomorrow. Tomorrow night is the beginning of Shavuot, or the Feast of Weeks, which is like parallel to Pentecost. In any case, that starts tomorrow, continues for 2 days. So next week, they're going to take up another round of the vote. Now, all of this is really just to buy time. It's really just buying time for them to try to come to an agreement. Now, all of this started because some of the 2 of the ultra-Orthodox parties do not want to, the ultra-Orthodox do not want to serve in the military. So but they must, according to the law. But they have always had an exemption from the law. Like, you have to create another law to exempt them. And so that exemption has expired. So they need to pass another exemption. And that is very controversial for a country in war that is losing soldiers, especially reserve soldiers, on a near daily basis, and especially over the last 2.5 years. So the country is divided over this. This is one of the most controversial internal issues, is whether or not everybody should do their mandatory military service. But these ultra-Orthodox parties are 2 major components of the Knesset. So now we've talked about Netanyahu has his party, which is the largest, Likud. They have the most seats. And then I talked about the other 2 that are the national religious, which is religious Zionism, and Jewish Power is the name of Ben-Gvir's party. So those 2 form one big block along with Likud, and then the other 2 parties are ultra-Orthodox. So Netanyahu has all of these. He has to keep them all happy to keep them in the government. The ultra-Orthodox are right now not happy and are threatening to walk. I think United Torah Judaism actually did drop out of the government, but it doesn't affect it at the moment. So everybody really is looking at this as a big power play. So this is this is going to go on for a little bit longer, at least another week, until the next vote. And then there's 2 more votes. Now, let me also say that after, let's say they vote to dissolve the government, then there's supposed to be a 3-month, 90-day mandated campaigning period. That's going to put us in September. When are the other elections supposed to be? There's supposed to be elections this year. They're October. They're supposed to be in October. So all you did was buy a month, actually. So anyway, all of this is much ado about nothing until the rubber really meets the road and they really vote for the next reading, this first, second, third reading, and they pass it, and then the government falls. Netanyahu stays in power as the prime minister, but things can't get done because there's no government. But we've done that before many times. Who needs a government anyway, right? We went years without having a government. So all of that could happen. And even if it's dramatic, it is only a difference of 1 month at the most between the original elections and the early elections. So it's not like the government falls down today on its face and everybody runs to the ballots tomorrow, to the voting booths. No, we still have until the end, well after the summer. So, all right, I see I see some comments. Hello, Kim. But I do suspect that in spring of 2029, when whoever the new U.S. president is sworn in, he will be tested in a big way. You think by Iran? That it is very interesting. Thinking ahead, Kim. I hope you bought your tickets if you're thinking that far ahead, 2027. Who was that? You were the one telling me that whatever airline isn't coming back until January 2027. I'm like, can you guys say like August? Cindy, good to see you. Oh, very cool. I haven't seen you in a while. This is awesome. Anyway, have fun with the grandkids. Okay. So yes, and Kim says, "Yep, Iran." Yeah. So yeah. So so then is Trump going to do this for like looking to the future, or or what? And really, it'll just be interesting to see if this starts up again, who starts it, and on what premise. Like, is it going to be like, oh, you violated this, so we're starting, or it's just like, no, we got to get it done, we're starting, or will Iran preempt it? Now, there's something else I want to show you about Iran, but you know what? First, I want to show you this because this just cracks me up. So we're talking about like who, the media saying this or that, but I see this story. Look at this report. U.S.-Iran agreement may be announced within the next hours. And this is a Lebanese paper. And I'm just like, wow, this is so far from anything that I heard in the last few hours. And mind you, the news changes by the minute. So hours is a long time. So this Lebanese outlet says a final agreement between the U.S. and Iran may be announced within hours. Unnamed sources told Al Arabiya. So actually, they're just quoting Al Arabiya, which I think is a Saudi paper, but I'm not 100% sure. Serious efforts are underway to put the final touches on the text of the agreement. I don't know if I can necessarily believe that. Adding that the Pakistani army chief may visit Iran tomorrow to announce their final agreement. A new round of negotiations will be held in Islamabad after the Hajj season. Oh, yes. So we're having a convergence of holidays that right now is like Shavuot, I said. And then after that is going to be Eid al-Adha, which is a Muslim holiday. It's the Feast of the Sacrifice, and many Muslims will go to Mecca and other sites in Saudi Arabia. That's like part of one of their pilgrimages. So that would also be an interesting reason to delay or attack. I mean, I guess depending on your strategy, right? So anyway, so we'll see if that impacts it. So that should be starting on Tuesday. And then it will go through the weekend, this Eid al-Adha, several days. It's like feasting and everything. And I just actually had the privilege of working with an article. I was editing somebody's article who did a lot of research on it. So Eid al-Adha is about the story of Abraham. And he goes to sacrifice his son. But it's been interpreted as not the way the Christians and Jews read it, as Isaac, but as Ishmael. But Ishmael's not necessarily mentioned in the text. Like it's in the original text about the incident. It's Abraham's son, but it's referring to Ishmael, not Isaac. So anyway, there you go. All the interesting things you ever wanted to know. So one last thing that I wanted to show you. I'm making sure. Okay. Yeah, we're doing pretty good with all of the notes. Okay. So I spoke about that Iran is teaching, like on public TV, they're teaching civilians how to use weapons. And we're going to go check out some of these videos. And teachers in school are also learning this. All right, let me get to this and expand the video. We'll just watch a few minutes of it. or a few seconds. Let's
around a Revolutionary Guard to learn how to use an AK-47 assault rifle. Men, women, and even children were pictured learning on how to fight against the US and Israel.
فوق‌العاده. شما خودتون شاهد هستید استقبال مردم، استقبال خانوما، آقایون فوق‌العاده است. کاملا هم داوطلبانه و خودجوشه.
انشالله که بتونیم استفاده کنیم در مقابل تهاجم دشمنان. اگه یه روزی نظر بدی به این خاک، به این کشور داشته باشند.
The RIGC also announced a civilian recruitment campaign, setting the minimum enlistment age at just 12 years old. A human rights watchdog warned that the youth-targeted recruitment campaign violates children's rights and constitutes as a war crime when those recruited are under 15.
Yeah, so what do you guys think of that? They are spontaneously showing up, with media and teaching children and others, they have whiteboards and they have their guns and they're just teaching them, and people are just showing up and they're responding positively. And mind you, the internet is still blocked in Iran for 80 plus days. And so the only media we have is Iranian run media. So this is all we have to go on, but they are actually teaching them how to use these weapons. We're going to check out a little bit more into the story, what other people are saying. You've got here Iran's Not Long for This World Teachers Union warns over military training for children. Iran's Teachers Union has warned that reported military training for children and teenagers in mosques and besieged centers could violate international child protection standards. In a statement citing videos circulating online, the union said some minors appeared to be receiving organized training involving weapons such as Kalashnikov rifles and Winchester firearms. This is in Iran International, which is an outlet that's associated with the opposition to the regime. The group described the reported activities as a form of militarization of childhood and warned they could amount to a violation of Iran's obligations under the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. They're calling for an investigation. So, yeah, that is what they are doing over there. Now, why would they feel the need to teach civilians how to use weapons? And, they're saying, I think in one statement that I heard in one of the videos, it had to do with if Trump comes, we want to attack him. And then, but obviously, that Trump is really not going to show up in Iran. And also, what the people are saying, though, the people who are able to get their voices out, they're saying that they are concerned that this is actually going to be used against people who oppose the regime. So basically, you're going to be turning like Hitler youth, you're going to have the regime youth that they're going to be used then to shoot against opposition members, protesters. So anyway, it could get extremely dangerous and tense on a civil level. So Carol is asking, do the Shia celebrate Eid al-Adha? I do not know. I don't know. That is a great question. You want to look it up, Tony, really quick?
No.
That's what ChatGPT is for, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Don't use
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Number
No.
one, don't use it don't use it as Google, and don't use it for searches. If you're going to use it for something worthwhile. Okay. So I don't know the answer to that. Now I'm curious though, but I'm not going to look it up while I'm talking to you, because then I feel like if I don't confirm it and this and that, whatever, I don't know. But it'll be interesting because that will also mean do they will it affect them? But it will affect the other nations. So even if it doesn't affect Iran, it will affect the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Well, it'll be big time affect Saudi Arabia because all the pilgrims that will want to go there for the Hajj, right? So, okay, that is it. that is all I have for today. And that's enough, actually, right? There's it's only been a couple days, and there's already, like, the news just piles up, like other things pile up, because that's the news. But anyway, stay tuned, because this could go either way. We could be like entering a war because it's a holiday weekend, and they seem to like they're attracted to Saturdays specifically, especially if there's a holiday. So we could see something as soon as this weekend, or we could see absolutely nothing, or we could see an agreement, or we can see somebody tearing up the paper and storming out of the room. So we have no idea. I have no idea. And yeah, that's why we stay live, because we just have no idea when things are going to happen. No planning can be made in this region, not at all. So anyway, on that, I will leave you to your day or your evening. Have a good one, and ciao for now. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you again soon. Thank you, Marilyn. Thanks.